It's the C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for UFC Fight Night 33, Hunt versus Bigfoot, which happens on December 6th. Overall, I really like this card. A lot of prospects on the undercard, and you got some name value with guys like Mark Hunt, Bigfoot Silva, Te-Huna, Scoggins fighting, Bader, Pat Barry. Even got a women's fight on here. So overall, this is definitely one of the better fight nights that I've seen, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, across the board, I definitely like what I see. As far as prospects, got Alex Garcia, get to see the karate style of Justin Scoggins. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, let's start it off. We got Mark the Super Samoan Hunt versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Antonio Bigfoot Silva has an 18-5 record, 13 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He has 4 losses by KO or TKO, 34 years old, training out of ATD. He has some heavy hands, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, strong top control, good ground and pound. Stand-up's good. His defense isn't that great. I mean, he has a really big head. You know, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's an easy target. His stand-up defense is, isn't the greatest. It's Mark Hunt. He has a 9-8 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by decision. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 6 losses by submission. He's 39 years old, training out of Jackson's in ATT. He has strong kickboxing, really good left hook, a really good chin. His grappling's actually improving, which is kind of funny. Well, it's funny because the guy, I'm so used to the guy I'm so used to Hunt. When he gets taken down, I'm always thinking, oh, he's going to get finished. That's it, because I'm just so used to seeing him submitted. His takedown defense has actually been improving as well. This one's kind of hard for me to call because in the grappling and on the ground, Silva has the easy advantage. It's just a question of whether Bigfoot Silva can actually take it to the ground. Sometimes his takedowns really consist of leaning on a guy and using his weight to take a guy down. Hunt, really short, stocky guy. Kind of, pretty tough to take down. I did see Bigfoot utilize like double leg takedowns on Fedor. And if he can use like double leg takedowns, that's generally the takedown that I see Hunt the most susceptible to. But overall, quite honestly, I can see Hunt, the way I see the fight going, Hunt beating Bigfoot on the feet, landing clean, just good kickboxer. Hunt is pretty accurate and surprisingly agile for his size. The thing I'm worried about is really just the grappling. The stand-up, Bigfoot, he's good in the stand-up, but like he's kind of slow. He's not a quick puncher or anything like that. But he hits really hard. Excuse me, doing the show right when I woke up. But Mark Hunt, good kickboxer. He has really good leg kicks, along with a really good. He's more of an inside striker, so his best punches are like short left hooks, uppercuts, like he did against Chris Tuchscherer. He finished him with an uppercut. Good on the outside with kicks. He's not a guy that'll jab or anything like that. But quite honestly, it's not that Bigfoot can take it to the ground. Like I said, he's a good wrestler. I have seen him use a double leg, which I've seen Hunt susceptible to sometimes. Otherwise, I think that Hunt actually beats him up on the feet and avoids a takedown. I gotta go with Mark the Super Samoan Hunt to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Mauricio Shogun Rua fights James Te-Huna. This one's kind of hard. This one's actually really hard for me to call, simply because they both have weaknesses that, in this point of the game, both guys can still exploit. Shogun Rua has a 21-8 record, 18 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. That 1 win by sub was a leg lock against Kevin Randleman way back in Pride. He has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 3 losses by sub. 31 years old on a 2-fight losing streak, strong Muay Thai, but lately the guy's just been a brawler. He's got heavy hands, good leg kicks when he uses them, because like I said, if you watch a lot of his fights, he doesn't utilize his strong leg kicks these days. His leg locks are really good. He did utilize the leg lock against Dan Henderson to get back to his feet when he was in trouble after he was dropped. Shows a really good chin. His takedown defense historically has never been good. I think he has been taken down by every opponent that he's fought in the UFC, including like Mark Coleman, Chuck Liddell, just about every. I think Brandon Vera took him down. Just about every opponent he's fought, he's been taken down from. His cardio as of late has been really weak, and I quite honestly feel that Shogun, as much as I love the guy, is totally shop worn. I mean, the guy is totally, just definitely past his prime, and you can definitely tell a guy that's regressed over the years. I mean, I hate to say it, but with Shogun, he looks like, for one, on a physical scale, I said weak cardio. Like, you watch a lot of his fights, just physically, visually too, he looks like he has a spare tire on his stomach. I mean, he just doesn't look like he's in shape a lot of times. And also, when I said regress, you watch like the Gustafsson fight, the Vera fight even. He looks like a guy that is now just, he doesn't have good cardio, kind of turned into a brawler, still has power and a good chin, but you don't see a lot of technique with the guy. However, James Te-Huna, 16-6 record, 10 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 5 losses by submission. He's 32 years old. It's good stand-up, heavy hands. His grappling is improving, but his submission defense is still his weakest part of his game. His stand-up defense isn't that great either. This one, it's funny that you can't really call this youth versus experience, because Shogun's actually younger than Rua, but as far as like, and even record-wise, Te-Huna has a good amount of fights, 16-6 record. Shogun's just been through a lot more wars, a lot of them going, he's been through 5 rounds with guys like Dan Henderson, 4 rounds with Vera, I want to say 3 or 4 with John Jones. He's been through some wars. And as shop-worn as Rua is, James Te-Huna still isn't. His stand-up's really good and he hits hard, but his defense and stand-up still isn't that great. And it's something that Shogun can exploit. However, like I said, the thing with Rua is he's just so shop-worn. I don't feel safe picking the guy in a lot of fights, even against like an up-and-comer like James Te-Huna. Shogun could conceivably take the fight to the ground. One other thing about Te-Huna, he's kind of big for the weight class. Whereas because Shogun, quite honestly, is not very big for the weight class. So, without, and like I said, Shogun at this point, in my opinion, has kind of gotten to the point where he's fighting the James Te-Hunas. Wouldn't surprise me for fights like Jimmy Manuel or like Bader or Jimmo or some other up and comer in the division. Maybe he fights like a Fajal or something like that. But he's gotten reached a point where it kind of looks like he's there to make other fighters look good and give a name to a fighter's resume at this point. I hate to say, I know I'm really busting Shogun's balls here, but like, quite honestly, it's hard to ignore at this point that the guy has regressed as a fighter. He has a lot of noticeable weaknesses now. Kind of a brawler, you know. And he just hasn't been looking good physically and just in the cage. I mean, he looked terrible against Chael Sonnen. He looked like a guy that was trying to get a paycheck. I hate to say it. I love Shogun. Summon pride, stomping dudes in the face, you know, but I gotta go with James Te-Huna here. I just think Te-Huna's been in the game for a while, actually, but you know, he hasn't been through all the wars that Shogun has. He's not younger, but he fights as if he's younger in fight years than Shogun has. I think Shogun can win because I think he's better on the ground than Te-Huna. And despite Shogun being a brawler, Te-Huna's stand-up defense still isn't that great. On the flip side, Shogun's cardio isn't that great. Te-Huna is a lot bigger. Shogun's stand-up defense hasn't been that good either as of late, especially when he's tired. So, and he gets into a lot of these wars with fighters that, quite, you know, good and bad, not bad, but like, he'll get into the same war with Alexander Gustafsson as he will with Brandon Vera, you know. So yeah, I'll go with James Te-Huna to win that one. Next fight after that, Ryan Bader fights Anthony Perosh. Anthony Perosh is the most surprising guy in the UFC. He's 14-7. He has 5 wins by KO or TKO, 9 wins by sub, and 5 losses by KO or TKO, and he's 41 years old. He is a finisher. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. His wrestling's not too bad. His top control is really good. Stand-up's actually improving, but it's not that great. He knocked out Vinny Magalhaes, which is, quite honestly, really embarrassing for Vinny Magalhaes because, quite honestly, as far as stand-up offensively, I think Magalhaes is better than him. And on the ground, I think he's better than Perosh as well. It just, his chin sucks. Perosh's chin, honestly, isn't that good either. He's fighting a guy in Ryan Bader as a 15-4 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. 30 years old, trained at Power MMA. He's a good wrestler with good top control. His boxing, it's average, you know. Here's a guy that will have Glover to share against the ropes, throw an overhand right, and then instead of throwing the follow-up left hook that should go with it, the guy throws an overhand right again, which gets blocked and countered, and he gets knocked out because of poor choices in his punching. The guy relies on his overhand right a lot. He has heavy hands, weak stand-up defense though. Despite all that, I think he's a bad stylistic matchup. I think Ryan Bader is a bad stylistic matchup for Perosh. I think he will land the overhand right. I think he will defend takedown. I think Bader will beat Perosh up on the feet,
and defend and takedowns that Perosh might do, might even knock him out. Bethe historically beaten the Anthony Peroshes of, the UFC. Perosh, like I said, this is a guy that's managed to stay in the UFC. Why I'm really surprising? He's limited, he's older, but besides that, he's managed to stay in the UFC, get wins against guys that I didn't think he'd beat. He managed to get a 3-fight win streak. His 4th fight after that, he lost to him on 7 seconds though. I think he got knocked out by number 8. Perosh surprises me. He definitely managed to stay in UFC, but I'll go with Ryan Bethe for a win. I think he beats him off in the stand-up, bench takes, might get his own takedown on Perosh as well. Next fight after that, Perry fought Palelei. Palelei had one of the most quickly fights with Nikita Krylov in his last outing. Both gassed early and looked really bad. Palelei had a 3 record, 15 wins by Kedzie, 1 loss by sub, 1 loss by strike. So he's never been to this city. Got some I have yet to really see Connor 6 records. Than a lot of the guys that beat him. It's just defensively, like Sean Jordan or LeVar Johnson. I think Pat Barry, quite honestly, is better on a technical level than them. Offensively. Defensively, he doesn't have it against these guys. And that's always been the problem with Barry. With that said, I don't think Palelei has what it takes to beat Pat Barry. I think Pat Barry, if he wants to, could probably beat him up on the feet with his hands, I hope to see Pat Barry's leg kicks. They're very good. Don't know if the fight will go to the floor. If it does, I can't see Palelei, is it Silva? I think it's Silva Palelei. My bad. Silva Palelei. I can't see him really getting a submission on Barry, to be honest with you. And actually, as of late, I've seen Pat Barry try and take fights to the ground as well. He is trying to diversify his skill set. So I'm gonna go with Pat Barry to win this one.
Next fight after that, Dylan Andrews fights Clint Hester. Dylan Andrews, 17-4 record with 1 no contest, 12 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by submission. He's 34 years old on a 6-fight win streak. Stand up, pretty solid. I forget the guy he beat last time, but he was definitely losing the fight. Wait, I think the same guy. He was losing the fight, and then second round managed to knock him out. Forgot against who, but I believe that he's the guy. Clint Hester, 8-3 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO. He has 1 submission win by strikes. He has 2 losses by sub. He's 27 years old on a 4-fight win streak. Good boxer. He is weak but improving grappling. Clint Hester is actually a guy that I wonder about his ceiling as a prospect. He's only 27 years old. He does have solid stand-up. Won his fight against what I think is Bristol Morunde with an elbow, standing elbow. It's pretty cool. And he has solid boxing technique. You know, the problem with him is his ground isn't very good. You know, his overall grappling still needs a lot of work, but he's still relatively young. It's definitely something he can improve upon. You know, and with Andrews, I've seen him keep fights on the feet. I think Hester, quite honestly, could beat him up on the feet. You know, so I'm gonna go with Clint Hester to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Bethe Pitbull Correia fights Julie Fireball Kedzie. Originally, Mince Gagnon versus Bruce Leroy Alex Caceres was supposed to be on this card. Due to visa issues, that fight was scratched, or it was postponed. I think it's getting moved to a different card now, and this fight was moved up. Okay, with Bethe Correia, she has a 6-0 undefeated record, 1 win by TKO, 5 wins by decision. She's 30 years old, training out of the Pitbull Brothers gym. She has, when I watch her fights, I can't really say she was great offensively anywhere. You know, her stand-up, I remember in one fight, it's like her first or second pro MMA fight, she was beating up her opponent pretty bad in the stand-up. And her latest fight against, was it Alexis Paes or something like that? I remember last name was Paes, Erica Paes, I think. Her stand-up looked alright, you know, so I'd say she has like average stand-up. Sometimes she'd throw punches awkwardly, or kicks awkwardly, but overall it was pretty, you know, it was average. It wasn't bad. One thing I noticed watching her fights, though, she has a really good sprawl. A lot of girls would shoot in on her, and she showed a really good sprawl. That was the best thing about her that I've seen from her fights. It is her first fight in the UFC. And yes, guys, I did actually watch fights of these UFC newcomers on YouTube to get an idea of what they're like. Sometimes there's just like 2 fights, but 2 fights, that's all I can find sometimes, but I did try and do my research on these guys. Julie Fireball Kedzie, 16-12 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. She also has 7 losses by sub. She's 32 years old on a 3-fight losing streak. She loses 1 more, she's probably going to get cut. Training out of Jackson's, she is a veteran with good kickboxing. Watch like the Miesha Tate fight, for example. You can see when she really puts it together, I mean, she's pretty devastating into kickboxing. She has really good kicks, utilizes head kick a lot. Her problem is that her submission defense is really bad. She lost to Miesha Tate after beating her up bad. I mean, she was dropping her. She managed to get the fight to the ground. She kind of gets over anxious on the ground and got armbarred when Miesha Tate was on her back, and that was it. And I was like, wow, you're winning the fight, and then you got armbarred, you know. I don't know, considering what I've seen and from Bethe Correia's record, I don't think she's much of a submission threat. I remember in one fight, I think it was against Paes as well, she took her down and elected to just keep the fight standing a lot of times. So, overall, I think I'm going to go with Julie Kedzie to win this one. She has a lot more experience. I think she is better in the stand-up. I don't really think the fight's going to go to the ground. Not saying it's impossible, but, you know, I have seen Correia go for takedowns. But overall, I think, especially if this fight stays standing, I got to go with Julie Kedzie to win this one. Okay, on to the prelims, which will be on Fox Sports 2. Takeya Mizugaki fights Phan. Phan has an 18-11 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO. 30 years old, good boxing. One of the few guys that effectively uses body punches. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually pretty good. He's billed as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Sometimes I don't see it, you know, especially from his back. I don't. A lot of times I just don't see it, which is really odd. Against Jim Hantis, he looked, you know, Jim Hantis had his way with him. Sometimes when I see him get put on his back, he just like closes his guard, or against like Dennis Seaver, closes his half guard and doesn't do much with it. And it's his first cut to 135. He fights Takeya Mizugaki, who has an 18-7 record with 1 draw, 5 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub, 29 years old, on a 3-fight win streak. I think it's his first 3-fight win streak under the Zuffa umbrella after years of like win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. He's a really good kickboxer with a strong chin, and his grappling is underrated. He has a good clinch takedown game and very solid ground and pound. Man, this is a tough fight for a guy who's making his first cut to 135. This is a really tough fight. Mizugaki is one of those guys that is tough for anyone. He has good stand-up and underrated grappling. I think Mizugaki can probably match Phan in the stand-up. And on the ground, I actually favor Mizugaki. If he wants to take the fight to the ground, I think he'll be able to. And may even get some ground and pound. So yeah, I gotta go Takeya Mizugaki to win this one. Next fight, that Caio Hellboy Magalhaes fight Nick the Promise Ring. It's really hard for me to call, to be perfectly honest with you. Nick Ring has a 13-2 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He's 34 years old, and good Muay Thai and some good Jiu-Jitsu. Magalhaes 6-1 record, 1 win by TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 25 years old, and he's out of Dragon Fight and União. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with good top control. He is big for 185. I remember his last fight against Carlos Bema. It was like 2 freaking like giant, like they're both like short, stocky dudes that just went at it. You know, it's pretty cool. For some reason, it had this freak show fight thing that was really neat. So it's hard for me to call because I think Nick Ring beats him up a stand-up. It's better if Magalhaes can fight to the ground. Really? Jeez, I don't know where to go because Ring, like, I mean, he's using a lot of movement against, Chris Kamosi. I can kind of see him use against Magalhaes here. Jeez, I'm just kind of thinking like who I should go with, but Magalhaes is big for the weight class. Buddy Roberts managed to beat Magalhaes on the feet and defend takedowns. It really depends on Nick Ring if he can defend the takedown or not, because I think he can beat him up on the feet. That's why I'm having a really hard time, because originally I'm thinking Magalhaes, but the more I'm thinking about this fight, I'm kind of leaning towards Ring because he can defend takedown. If he can defend a takedown, I think he just beats Magalhaes on the feet. But if Magalhaes, he's big for the weight class, good top control and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. But his takedown entries aren't the greatest. That's the thing. This one's really hard for me to say. I have seen Nick Ring getting taken down by Ricky Fukuda before. He got taken down by Tim Bosch, but Tim Bosch is big for the weight class as well. But both guys are generally pretty good wrestlers too. Fukuda is actually an underrated wrestler, and Bosch is a pretty good wrestler in his own right as well. And he uses judo redneck judo on him. You know what? I was originally going to go with Magalhaes. But, you know what? I think I'm going to go with Nick Ring to win this one, actually. I think he'll beat him up on the feet and manage to defend the takedowns. If he utilizes the movement that he used against Chris Camozzi, I think he'll be faster than Magalhaes. And I think if Ring uses that movement as well, Magalhaes will have a hard time taking him down. So, yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to go with Nick the Promise Ring to win this one. I'm actually changing. I was actually going to go with Magalhaes because I was thinking he can take the fight to the ground using his size, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. However, Nick Ring's not a small middleweight. I think he beats him on the feet. I think he can utilize movement when necessary and defend takedowns. So, I'll go with Nick Ring to win that one. Next fight after that, Justin Scoggins fights Richie Vaculik. Richie Vaculik is apparently, he's in this movie, I don't know if it's on Australia or something, called Fight something or something. It has a word like fighter or fighting or something like that. He's also apparently one of the Bra Boys, whatever that is. I think that's a TV show or something. I don't know what that is. But with Voss, he has 9-1 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He's 30 years old on a 5-fight win streak. He is a finisher. All but one of his fights never went past the second round. He's a good wrestling, and he's pretty aggressive about getting those takedowns. His submissions are really good. I saw one fight where he got like this reverse triangle armbar. Is really cool. His stand-up defense though needed some work. I noticed against a lot of guys I saw him fight, he did get tagged on the feet pretty clean and pretty often. So I wasn't too impressed with his stand-up defense. It is his first fight in the UFC. Interesting stylistic matchup as Justin Scoggins has a 7-0 undefeated record. 5 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He's only 21 years old, and he has this hands-down karate-style stand-up. It's similar to like Stephen Thompson, who fights at welterweight. He uses his lead left kick a lot. He'll use he has really good kicks and the really unorthodox strikes. Like he'll use his lead side kick a lot. He also has that same style of karate-style kick that Stephen Thompson uses. And I actually saw him. He went 5 rounds, so it actually speaks well for his cardio. With one guy, he beat him like at the last couple minutes of the 5th round with like a spinning hook kick. So he will use unorthodox strikes. He's also shown to have really good knees as well, and it's his first fight in the UFC. The problem with Scoggins is I don't know much about his ground game. I don't even manage to find like 2 fights from him. And besides knocking the guy down and hitting ground and pound, I don't actually know much about his ground game. With Richie, the fights I did see him with, he had really good takedowns. You know, he was really aggressive about it. Timed them pretty well, you know. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of Richie's stand-up outside of getting tagged here and there. I assume that Scoggins has a better stand-up. It looks like Richie probably is more of the better wrestler and good submissions. From what I saw from what YouTube videos I can find of these guys. Both guys' first fight in the UFC. Overall, though, I'll go with Scoggins here. I liked what I saw. He had good cardio. His hands down, karate style stand up. It is really unorthodox. I think we'll see some of those really a lot of kicks from him. I don't know if he'll be able to avoid the takedown. That's the X factor here. That's a big question mark here. Really tough to say how this fight plays out in the sense, because Richie could conceivably get to takedown. He's pretty aggressive. When he's on top, I notice he's really aggressive. Always on the offense, you know. But yeah, I'll go Justin Scoggins to win that one. Okay, next fight after that, Krzysztof Jotko fights Bruno Santos. Both guys are 13-0 undefeated. With Krzysztof, he has a 13-0 undefeated record with 4 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He's only 24 years old. I saw 2 fights from him. I think they were part of a tournament, it looks like. But he showed really good ground and pound. He uses a lot of movement in his stand-up, but his stand-up was kind of average. One thing I noticed was that he was pretty hittable in the stand-up. He got hit clean a good amount of times, and he gets a bit reckless at times too. It's his first fight in the UFC. Bruno Santos, I remember seeing him fight in Bellator actually. It's a 13-0 undefeated record, 1 win by TKO, 1 win by sub. So that means 11 of his fights went to decision. And it makes sense because he is a grinder. He's 26 years old. He's a grinder with good wrestling, good top control. He's kind of a lay and pray guy. And quite honestly, I can see him lay and pray Krzysztof Jotko. I'll go with Bruno Santos to win, using his wrestling and top control. And finally, Alex the Dominican Nightmare Garcia fights Benoit. Both guys, it's their first fight in the UFC. Alex Garcia is actually a prospect that a lot of guys have been talking about. He's a 10-1 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He's 26 years old on a 4-fight win streak, and he trains at a TriStar. Benoit, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was in Tough Smashes, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta go with Alex Garcia though to win that one. So to recap, I got Mark Hunt beating Antonio Silva, James Te-Huna beating Mauricio Shogun, Ryan Bader over Anthony Perosh, Pat Barry over Soa Palelei, Clint Hester beating Dylan Andrews, Julie Fireball Kedzie over Bethe Pitbull Correia. On the prelims, I got Takeya Mizugaki beating Phan, Nick the Promised Ring beating Caio Hellboy Magalhaes, Justin Scoggins beating Richie Vaculik, and Bruno Santos over Krzysztof Jotko. On the Facebook prelim, I have Alex the Dominican Nightmare Garcia beating Benoit. So that's it for my predictions for UFC Fight Night 33, Hunt versus Bigfoot. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.